because that means everybody get the same raise. Whereas if we give a 3%, somebody's making $80,000, just getting a lot more raise than somebody's making, $30,000 or $35,000. So that's just my 2 cents. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this spreadsheets or about budgets. And I actually think, because we did say the last meeting too, Mr. Brooks wasn't going to be able to be here on the 24th for the budget hearings, and he did want to discuss his budget a little bit. And I think he wanted to do that tonight as well, if I'm not wrong. Right.
Robert, just so we're reading this right, let's say if we went with a 1,500,
Yes.
that costs $726,000.
That costs the county general fund $661,712 for all
And-
funds.
Right.
26,686.
But is the county journal the one that you said that's 439,000? If we bring everybody back down to zero
Yeah,
except
that's where
contracts,
I'm just speaking to that fund right now. Yes.
so we would be short $200,000, 220,000.
There may be some other factors in, like the 263 fund, still a moving project. Our advisors have asked for the worst case scenario, an 18% increase, best case scenario, 13. We're working around that. I don't know that we may have to increase a little there, but it's possible we don't.
And you said this is bringing taking the sheriff's 5% off
Yes.
the table,
Yes.
right? And then
Anybody's extra stuff I took out.
what about the 2 positions that he asked for?
I did take that out as well.
And then Johnny's,
And that's what the budget hearings are for. If we come in and you start approving that, then I add it in.
but that's kind of our baseline.
Yes,
All right.
that's what I wanted to get you to.
So the budget hearings
Thank
are on
you.
the 24th.
Yes.
And that's also the time we possibly are going to have an executive session, but Mr. Brooks isn't going to be there.
No, he'll be there for the first part of it. But
For
I
the
think
first
he has
part.
a conference in Chattanooga that he is trying to get to, that he wasn't going to be there on the 24th, but now I think because of the executive session,
Okay,
if I heard him correctly, he is.
okay.
Nicole tried to remind him earlier.
All right,
But
just
yeah.
want to make sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if y'all don't care to give him a few minutes tonight as well.
And can Mr. Chairman, we'll take off the discussion of the new business that I was going
The revenue.
Okay.
to. Yeah, and I'll just piggyback off of these numbers really quick if you would just give me 30 seconds. I just would ask that everybody look at the 262, our tax levy. Anderson County historically has an allocation of revenue problem. We have one of the highest tax rates in the state of Tennessee. I think we may have actually gone up to the top 10, but at worst, we're 12 out of 95 counties. We can't keep going back to the well with these folks. But we have such a high tax rate, but we always seem to find ourselves in this position of trying to squeeze out the turnip as much as we can. But when you start looking at how our money is divvied out compared to, I'll give Robertson County an example, or Putnam. And this is not an anti-school thing, and my wife and I argue about this all the time. She's a public school teacher. We give our schools 58% of our property tax money. I'm on a quest to find a county that's over 41%, and I haven't found one yet. We give them a lot, and then when the schools got the capital project pennies in 2018, that was used on serious needs that they had, air conditioning units, all of these things. Well, I think those are now caught up. And now we run into this past year, I believe, it's either past year or the year before, that code is going to has almost created a fund balance that we are not using at all. And we've heard the mayor talk about all of these needs for our EMS. It is endless, the amount of needs that we have as a county. At some point, we've got to look at this, and we can't keep going back to the taxpayers. Can't do it because they're already paying enough, really more. At some point, we've got to look at this and figure out what our priorities are. I'm not saying that schools are not a priority. They are. But $1 million a year gets to go to those capital buildings. And now they're using it, and I'm in favor of the Claxton School being built. All of these things are great. But at some point, we've got to take care of our side of the pie. And I don't know where we do that. We have a lot of maintenance of effort requirements from the state. I know that 177 is not a part of the maintenance of effort. That's $1 million a year. I would be even entertain sunsetting that for after 5 years or something. But at some point, we've got to start giving our citizens a return on their investment and quit asking them to fund all of this stuff, but we don't have anything to show for it. I will always say Claxon needs an EMS station, right? But we are nowhere near financially capable of doing that right now. But imagine where we could be if we start giving back the general fund some of the money that it deserves. And I just, for me, 58% is a lot. That's a big chunk of our big tax dollars. And I support Dr. Pear to think he does a tremendous job. But in order to do these things that the mayor's working on and do the things that we need to do, we can't just keep kicking the can down the road. At some point, we've got to address it. It's not going to be fun. We're going to get, if we think the animal shelter's tough, good night. This is not going to be fun either. But at some point, we've got the money. We've got one of the highest tax rates in the state of Tennessee. Where were we putting it? And I feel like every year we're getting pinched tighter and tighter just to give our employees a $1,500 raise when the money's there. So that's all. I just ask that we look at it, that everybody takes the time to look at our budget and look where each penny that we spend is going to, and see, do we need to be funding all of the municipalities' libraries with the exception of Oak Ridge? Do we need to be doing that? No, we don't. Help them out? Sure. But to fund the whole thing? No, it's crazy. But that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Mays. Next under new business is the Scarborough 85 discussion. Commissioner Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this kind of goes along with that same thought Commissioner Mays had. So I was reading in the paper that the state of Tennessee fully funded that project, the Scarborough 85 project. They received $3.2 million from the state. And we, the nonprofit and commission, approved a sizable donation to that project as well. And we have a resolution that kind of laid out what that money was to go for. And so I would like to ask that committee to come back, if they can, in May perhaps, and give us an explanation or a progress report. Are they going to be able to fulfill the terms of that resolution? Is it possible to claw that money back? It came from tourism. It could go back into tourism. There's a lot of things that we're wanting to do with the parks and through the conservation board. So it could certainly be used by us. And I'd just like to kind of get a progress report on that and see what the intentions are, if we need to change the terms of the resolution or what have you. I think what we had received, the information was that this project was the estimate was 2.8 or 2.9 million. So they received, I've got the Sentinel here, 3.2 million grant was going to the United Way for that. So I'd just like to see if that's possible, if we could get that. I think we appropriated 125?
Yeah.
And I'd also say the nonprofit committee has guidelines that we're the last dollar in. We did not do it on this. We gave it in the beginning because the city of Oak Ridge was going to match that. I'm not sure that the city of Oak Ridge gave a dollar or a monetary. I think they did in-kind services is what I heard. I don't know that to be true. But if that money is not going to be used the way we intended it for, maybe we need that back. So just something to think. I'd like to hear from them and just something to think about. Thank you.
So you're making a motion that the finance department reaches out to that organization?
Does that
and
need to be a
requests they
motion? Yeah, I would do that. Just ask them to come and give us a progress report.
appear? Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion?
Would a report to Robbie and then Robbie just give us the, that suffice?
I mean, you're making the motion, but I'd kind of like for them to appear.
Yeah, they came the first time.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
came and appeared the first time.
And it would be nice to just hear the, you know, all of their goals and,
Get a progress report
Yeah,
on
yeah.
everything that's been going on. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
thank you.
And then we have the,
Occupancy tax.
the occupancy tax. Director Holbrook, I'll let you explain that.
I'm going to defer to Mayor Frank.
Oh, Mayor Frank.
And real quickly, Commissioner Palmer, the governor, and thank you to Governor Lee for putting the Scarborough 85 project in his budget. The budget is not fully approved yet, so that's still, if we want the legislature to pass that, we need to encourage
Good
them.
point. Good
Yes.
point. But I am very thankful
Yeah.
that they're fully funding it. That's wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. I know we wrote a letter in support of that, the governor putting it in his budget. I know Rose and John reached out and asked for that kind of support, so we're very thankful and hope it sticks. Okay, this is kind of last minute. I like to always put items on the agenda for you, but I was informed last night about 5:30 of something that's happening in the legislature where there's a bill that would go in that would cap occupancy tax, and basically if you do not have a rate set that's 8% combined between city and county, if you don't have that in place by May 1st, then you're out of luck. And so that's why I asked, Robbie, can we put this on here? What I have in your packet, just to kind of get us started on this conversation, is a resolution from Roane County, and I think they're going to have a special called meeting because they were made aware of this as well. And about a year ago, I had brought to you just a discussion about this idea. In 2021, the legislature passed new law, and I know Chairman Mays probably with his CTAS expertise can help us on this. Public Chapter 496 became effective, and it allows a county, except those with a metro form of government, to modify or repeal a privilege tax by resolution rather than private act, subject to certain restrictions. This was specifically about occupancy tax, allowing us to, just through a resolution, modify that. So we have a private act. Roane County has a private act as well. What they're looking at doing is doing a 4% based on what this law would allow us to do, 4% for all the cities. It would make it equal in each and every city. What is in front of you is I have a sheet for hotel, short-term rental, with total, what the percentage change would be if we took advantage of adopting something via resolution. And I have, we currently, with 5%, in the 2023, we brought in $691,000. These are Department of Tourism numbers, okay? If we went to the 4%, we're looking at 1.1 plus million. The 3%, 838,000, 2%, 558. So we obviously wouldn't want to do that. We could bring in a little bit more with 3%. But what we would be doing would be putting this occupancy tax on Oak Ridge, and then also on Rocky Top, and then it would give us the opportunity to lower our rate in the city of Clinton and in Oliver Springs. And I just want to highlight a few things that this would accomplish. First, let me start by saying it can always be lowered, okay? What I'm talking about is a May 1st deadline, and that's why I'm bringing it to you and asking for your consideration tonight. Because once May 1st comes and goes, once the governor, if this passes, which it's passed committees in both the House and the Senate, and it looks to pass the full, the entire legislature, if it passes, then there's no going back. We're kind of locked in. We can always walk it back and go to a lower amount. But some of the things to bring to your attention, this occupancy tax is not on people who live here. It's on people who visit, and we want them to visit. When we look at areas like Oak Ridge, it's on a lot of people who are doing government travel. So this isn't something where if you're the federal government, you're coming to Oak Ridge to do work at Y12 or the lab. That is something that the federal government still pays. And you know this, if we go to a conference in Murfreesboro, we bring our sales tax exemption form. We exempt ourselves out of sales tax, but we do not exempt out of Rutherford County's occupancy tax, for example. So this is a way we constantly have a discussion at the commission level about, well, can we do more in terms of payment in lieu of taxes? Well, this is a way to do that. It's the occupancy tax. It would apply downward pressure on property tax. So earlier, Commissioner Mays is talking about reallocation of revenues and how we can find additional funds. This is a way to find additional funds that does not impact our, homeowners, grandma and grandpa, and folks that are trying to pay the bills, living in their house. Something else that Stephanie and I did discuss several months ago, we got together and talked about this again. And I said, Stephanie, what are your thoughts on if we do something like this? We can, in the future, no dollar that comes in here can be spent by the Department of Tourism, by Stephanie herself or by me as the structure over her without coming to County Commission. So this could be a potential source of new funds for infrastructure improvements. We could create some type of working agreement if you wanted to formalize something with an agreement. If you wanted it to be a little more loose and do one-offs where additional funds that come in come before you. But this could be a way, if we have an occupancy tax that's equal on all cities, then maybe we look at, okay, what does Oak Ridge need? What kind of infrastructure to enhance tourism? What does Rocky Top need? Is there some signage or there's some infrastructure? Because it's pretty much wide open. And let me give you the definition of what you can use. So tourism under this law means attracting non-residents to visit a particular municipality and encouraging non-residents to spend money, which includes travel related to both leisure and business activities. It also means tourism development, and you can use funds for that. Acquisition and construction of, financing, retiring of debt for facilities related to tourism. So if you can come up with a way that there's a tourism component, then this is a way to underwrite that. Instead of us using our capital funds, digging into the fund balance to do something, and infrastructure is needed, and it's used by our citizens and tourists alike. So a lot of times it's a shared cost. For instance, the parks. Residents use our parks, but it is also a draw, and we're seeing this big time right now. If you drive through Aspire Park, a lot of people will come to your parks on a tourism basis. Something else to keep in mind in terms of parity, some of the hotels actually have TIFs on them. And, that's done to bring them to the community to help them underwrite the development costs. I know, we have one in Clinton that has a TIF. We have two in Oak Ridge. I think the third one that's under construction is also a TIF. But we still have costs related to government to provide, burying the trash, providing ambulance service. So this is a way to kind of help us equalize things a little bit, and we're all helping each other, but it's a way to get a little more revenue. In terms of, if you go to your next, and I don't want to be up here much longer, if you go to the next page that looks like this, only yours is not color. This is kind of where we are now. So Oak Ridge has 5%, and the county has we're not charging any occupancy in Oak Ridge right now. In Clinton, the city is charging 3%, and the county has 5%. Unincorporated, this would be just county only, and mostly this is, vacation rentals, VRBO, something like that. We're charging 5%. In Rocky Top, they have a city of 5 and the county 0. Norris has 0 city, which I would encourage them to put. I know they have revenue issues, and I would encourage them to put one on there. The county tax rate is 5%. Oliver Springs is 5 and 5. So if we went, as commissioners, I know you're sensitive to, okay, this is a tax. Well, you're going to lower it for some. You're going to equalize it for everyone, make it fair. And for instance, Clinton, if we went to 4 and they're at 3, if this law passes that caps it at 8%, Clinton could raise theirs 1% and bring in another percent. Same thing, we go to 4, Norris can put in 4%. So we are lowering, but also putting a new one in place, but also making it equal all across the county and for all cities. The question has been asked at some of our government conferences of Commissioner Markazell, the Commissioner of Tourism, what's that magic number? Is 9 too high? Is 8 too high? What's that number? 10%. That's the number that they use as, you stay 10%. It's not really going to affect your travelers' decisions at that amount. But anyhow, I'm just asking for your consideration. One issue, and I know how things can get carried away. One issue is if we do something like this, our existing private act does have the Chamber of Commerce in there is getting 10%, so you would need to ensure, I guess, alleviate their fears by, if you do some kind of motion to go in this direction, to put that 10% aside for them just as a budgeted line item instead of just, because you're not going to have, the way it works now is it's collected and then Paul could speak more to how that process works, but you would just need to reassure them that this wouldn't affect that. And I think that's all the notes I have on it, unless you have something else.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the mayor, would you be preparing the resolution?
And I will say I would work with Mr. Brooks. So I just got today, literally Roane County, because they're speeding on this as well, their county attorney put together that resolution, and I would just forward that to Mr. Brooks and let him, it's going to be the same thing. If you look at their resolution, they have the second to last whereas, it mentions the, let's see, no, that's not the right one. That talks about it being capped at 4%. They're doing the exact same thing, though. They're doing the 4%. But I would just let him plug in our private act and our numbers and all of that.
So that would be my motion, is that she just works with the law director on preparing a resolution for the April 21st meeting.
Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Vandergriff. Any discussion? Mayor, I'm resorting back to my old city council days.
Yes.
So I have a question, and if you don't know, that's fine. How is this tax collected? If I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, and I hope I am, it relies a lot on the honor system.
Some of it does.
Okay.
And so if you look at what Johnny Alley was talking about, one of the programs he purchased or was doing, you all authorized him would be to be able to identify those folks that are, I guess, using the honor system to kind of ensure that they are submitting their proper tax. A lot of people use platforms like VRBO. They automatically collect that, and then it all goes through the clerk's office.
Right.
Is how we get it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know back then, Tyler may remember this, one of the ideas was the police department was going to drive around all the motels in town to see how many occupants they had for that night, and it was just going to wind
Some
up
of those
being.
used to collect cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't
Well,
want your
we-
card.
Yeah.
A big Texas 10. That's what
Yeah.
we want.
Yeah, I don't,
We do have one that's not paying currently, and Mr. Brooks has been working really hard on that one with Jeff Cole and Trustee Copeland. So we feel like there may be some light there. Yeah. So.
Mr. Chairman, so.
Commissioner Allen.
Thank you. So this tax would basically be on the visitors,
Yes.
yeah. And so I guess, at some of the locations where someone may want to go to a camp, the resident would be taxed even though they are a resident.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at the selling point to Oak Ridge. You know, how will I convince people that this isn't a tax that's over all of Oak Ridge, but just the visitors that are coming there?
Yes, you have to rent a hotel room, or
Yeah.
you have to, if you have a marital spat and you go check into the hotel room, you're going to be paying that tax. But if you can get along and sleep in the same room at night, you're good.
Yeah.
You won't pay it. Now, I know there is anxiety. You'll have some of the hoteliers say, "Well, we don't need that. We don't want that." But again, if you need any information before the 21st, I can get that information for you from the tourism department on what those magic numbers are. A lot is going on here. I mean, a lot is going on here. So I think it's a good source of revenue.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm not sure I have a good understanding of this. Could we see some numbers spelled out where we'd have a chance to look at the impact on the county, impact on the municipalities? And I know that's maybe hard to do because there's a lot going on, it
Right.
sounds like. But I guess I would like some additional information about this.
Sure, and I can get that. So the numbers that you have in there, I actually requested the Department of Tourism to put this together last year, and so Commissioner Mark Ezell and Josh Gibson, who is there, he's just one of those brilliant minds with numbers. I'm sure he can get us the most current numbers. So, this 1.1 million is based on when he was looking at prior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get you some updated numbers. But just for context, this is what the additional money we would bring in is on that one sheet. So, like, we're at 5% currently, and that, again, those were last year numbers based on tourism. If we adopted the new 4% for all, we would bring in $1.1 plus million. So that's a lot of money to do infrastructure improvements with and do things that people need. So.
Any further discussion?
So, sorry.
I'll get that for you.
Yeah. This motion, what it would do what for us right at this point?
It would approve it to send it on to full commission for approval because we have a May 1st deadline.
That's the pressing.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Any further business, unfinished business? Hearing none, any business at all to come before the committee?
We didn't do Mr. Bruce's.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie.
This comes so long, we'll just table it for the 24th. I'll put him first on the agenda after possible, executive session.
Thank you. Any further business?
I just have a question. We have a legislative committee meeting that was supposed to meet at 5:30. Since we've gone so long,
I don't think you have a quorum.
I don't know that we'll have a quorum. I think
Unless
all
you're
of
out in the
us are
hallway.
on there, except for you, Shane. We do have I'm assuming you're Mrs. Parker, right? Yes. So she was here for the meeting. I guess I don't know what to do. Do we want to continue and have that, or do we need to reschedule, or what?
Who's the chair?
I am. I don't want to make the call.
Whatever you want to do.
Go ahead and
It's-
adjourn.
So there's 6 of us that are here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You staying? 6. All right, go ahead and adjourn.
We're adjourned.